starting now. Perfect. It is being live streamed. Thank you for that notification, Zoom. Here we go. Both on camera, immersive. What's that mean? Oh, okay. Zoom has got some new features tonight. Okay, so like if I were to like do this, what happens? Oh, okay. So we go into this view when I do that. Yeah, I just got a new update on Zoom too.
Got fancy now.
Yeah, real fancy. Like
Moving up in the world.
yeah, dude. Like, a year ago, like we were screen sharing our Facebook page and doing lives like that. It didn't look good.
Now you're top dog. Look at that.
Just like the top dogs this weekend. That they got to the semifinals and Lydia's Legacy. I keep wanting to call it Albany, but they've told me it's not the same as Albany. So it's
okay.
Legacy. Shout out to them though. They had a rough time in Atlantic City. They lost to Nomads, I think 47-0, who you're going to be facing this weekend. Yeah. But that's going to be an awesome matchup amongst a lot of great matchups this weekend in the Charm City Classic. I'm really excited to get to it. Welcome to tonight's episode of Blunt Talk. I'm your host, Joey Blaze. Joining me right out the gate is Craig Petit from Rampage. We're going to be talking to everybody who will be participating at the Charm City Classic B tournament on Saturday and Sunday this weekend coming up. So if you are playing or you're a captain, or maybe even if you're just wanting to like get an opinion or you want to watch the event, anything, feel free to jump in tonight. We're going to be talking B. With the B was the best of the B, I should say. And honestly, Rampage is a team that's proven that B label means nothing on terms of success and wins throughout this year. We earlier had went over the rankings, and we had Rampage as a number 6 when it came to the top teams in the country. Of course, some teams are left out due to the 8-team minimum. But Rampage has proven to be a top 10 team all year long. In that they have beaten, and you take a look at this resume, it's been impressive. I'm reading off my screen right now. Maryland Titans, Bad Boys, Baez Auto, Riot Squad, Browns, No Mercy Scorpions, Ride Out, Elite Rebels, Blackhawks, FOE, Affiliate Nation, and the Misfits. And out of those teams, 5 of them play A bracket ball in the Charm City Classic coming up. And Baez, No Mercy, Ride Out, Rebels, and Misfits. And even FOE as well. They got to win on them. That's 6 teams, 6 A teams. And then if you want to throw it in, the Browns played in the XFFL A division. That's 7 A-level teams that they have beaten this year. A record of 26-5-2 for Rampage in the year 2021, starting back to April when we kicked off in Owings Mills till recently. We talk about it. Rampage is on pace so far. By the end of the weekend, they would have played 59-man games at the minimum. That's a rough estimate, though, since January. We're talking before Nationals. Craig, I got to ask you, because a lot of people have been wondering, what is too much football? What is at this point going too far with it? Because Rampage has played the most 9-man games in the country out of any team in 2021 for an entire year, nationals and exhibitions included. What has been the key to you guys going on this grind and yet still maintaining the same level of success?
I think when it comes to too much football, I really don't know there's an answer until you start to see some guys getting banged up. When injuries come to be a part of something, obviously you're playing a little too much football. And you got to think we're also not professional athletes, so there's travel involved with that. We were also playing in Owings Mills League. We were playing down at Tucker Road. And we were playing each weekend. We were playing 3 games a week. That was all the way through Atlantic City. And I think it might have also been Ocean City. We were doing the same thing. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. So really, I mean, for us,
3 on that Sunday in OC.
Yeah. So, I mean, we played a lot. I mean, we like it, of course. Obviously, you get to play as much as you can. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. But I think, truthfully, I think it started to take a toll on us in that championship game in Maffle. Not making any excuses. Scorpions beat up on us. They did what they were supposed to do. But you could tell, even in the Owings Mills tournament in Atlantic City, those kind of second game of the day, third game of the day, you could tell the guys that normally need to play every down or, whatever, starting to take a toll on us. Routes getting slower, maybe some guys taking it easy on some blocks or guys in coverage, maybe not doing whatever in a zone or man type situation as you normally would. And that's just exhaustion. And I think when it came for both tournaments, both leagues, and it kind of boiled all the way down, I think towards the end there, we were pretty dogged, which so was everybody else, not making any excuses for us. I'm sure the Scorpions were just as tired as we were, and definitely takes a toll when it's important.
Yeah, and I agree with that because we go back to that day at Maffle, that was an extremely hot day out there on Tucker Road. And so was the OMFFL championship that weekend. That's the one thing that's been a factor now is the heat, which a lot of us have not really played much summer 9-man since 2019. When you go back to the case of not being able to for some areas last year and whatnot. And when you're not used to playing in those elements, it can really start to take a toll on a lot of teams. I think we saw the same thing that happened with Scorpions in the OMFFL playoffs happen to you guys in Maffle, having two very tough, daunting games back to back. PME, they reemerged, and you guys had a battle with them in that Maffle playoff. Southside, I think, surprised a lot of guys on that Sunday. They came out very competitive. They knocked off FOE in the quarterfinals. They had a lot of momentum going to that Rampage game. That's always a tough physical game. And then you consider back to back and then having to walk right over, carrying everything else to field one to play a Scorpions team that was on a 45-minute break. They cooled down just enough. They were relaxed. I feel like that factored in a lot, especially when you get to that point of the year, because I think it's scientifically proven that heat does aggravate the body a lot when you're out there playing, and does take a bigger toll on it. Even just sometimes standing there, sitting down at AC calling games, I was getting dehydrated just in the heat alone. And I believe you were there at Atlantic City.
Yep.
And you had a chance to experience that while you guys were out there having to play very physical teams. Like you go back to the Browns team you played in that quarterfinals. Let's rewind. Let's go through some games. Started June. Rampage, you guys went up to AC. You had a big draw with Bloodline and Riot Squad to start. Riot Squad was a much hyped game. Little bit of an unexpected result, I'm not going to lie. I had a feeling Rampage would win, but you guys actually pulled it out very well and did a great job just holding down a Riot Squad team and putting up points on their defense that has played very tough all year against a lot of offenses. What was the key to success against Riot Squad and Bloodline that day? I think Riot Squad just won B. They'll be here in Charm City as well. So that's a victory over the current B champion on terms of a 9-man tournament in Riot Squad. Yep. That's a very tough team. I apologize for cutting you off. I get a little long-winded sometimes.
No, you're all right.
All right.
I think when it comes to success, really, for us, I think a big thing, and it's probably across all the flag football teams, we struggle a little bit playing complete football games. When we're, and, it comes to show with a lot of the top teams, but when we're full go, and again, no excuses, but when we're clicking on all cylinders, defense, D-line, O-line blocking, Chris is making great reads, receivers are catching passes, making people miss. It's really, really hard to beat us. And I could say the same with a lot of other teams. A big thing that hurts us, and it hurt us in Atlantic City, was there's a lot of games where the offense was clicking. For example, that Browns game in Atlantic City, we don't win that game if the offense doesn't put up almost 30 points. Because we were struggling on defense. Their quarterback I think the guys, they call him Rocket, I guess. I don't really know his name, but that guy was just making plays and putting up. I mean, that was the first time I experienced. They scored 4 touchdowns on us. They missed an extra point. That's how they lost. But the offense answered when we were struggling. Offense answered and put up 28 to their 26. But then literally the next game after that, we play right out, and the defense does a great job. We only let up 6 points. They might have crossed the 50 once, but the offense only, actually the offense didn't score at all. We had to score on defense. So I think that was a lot of our success down in Atlantic City. Other than that, those 2 games I just mentioned, we were just clicking on all cylinders. Everything we wanted to do worked, whether it was throwing screens, whether it was deep balls, jump balls, playing man on defense, playing cover 3, rushing 4, rushing 3. I mean, anything we wanted to do was just clicking for us.
The next day, you guys ended up drawing Dirty Birds in the first game. And I'll be honest, that is a team that I feel like defensively has played you guys very well in 2 matchups so far, going back to Ocean City on day 1 and on day 2 against that you guys on the AC field. We were actually there for that one with Workhorse Media. We talked about it last night as well. They're a team that plays excellent defensive ball, I feel like, but just can't seem to get an offense going. As a defensive player going against them, your impressions of them overall in the game you guys have, or you all went through 7-0.
Those dudes, that's the second tournament. I think we played them in Ocean City, and they were our first game on Money Day too.
Yeah.
Both tournaments we played against them. We opened up against them on Money Day, and they're a tough team. For being normally you think as a top, you guys ranked us at 6, and normally you're a top team. You think Sunday, your first game's kind of a walkthrough, so to speak. You're kind of, maybe just warming up. And those dudes always play hard. Defensively, like you said, they're a great defensive team. They do a lot of good things. They play really fast. I think it's something that people kind of sleep on a little bit. There's not a lot of times where guys are running butt naked, catching passes and walking in the end zone. Somebody catches the ball, there's 2, maybe 3 guys in the vicinity. They play extremely fast. They're disciplined. Now, from our standpoint, defensively, again, no disrespect to anybody. I think what they struggled, and this is just from what I remember, they like to load the box, which it's great if it works. But it really seemed to me that they could not spread the field. I don't know if it was the lineman they have or the quarterback, or I don't know what they got going on over there. But, and, for me, at least in flag football, is 9 guys on the field. You got to be able to play in space. And it just seemed they wanted to load the box and play physical, but this is not padded football. This is flag. So, they're trying to run read options and they're pulling guards and running the ball. I mean, it just wasn't working. I remember at the end of the game, I think they completed 2 passes on us, both of them to the running back for a total of like 6 yards. The rest of their offense was that quarterback. When he got in trouble, he took off and was making plays, but they couldn't throw the ball downfield. They were struggling just to complete screens. I mean, their receivers weren't blocking. I don't know, but they got some young athletes though. That quarterback, I don't think he's terrible. I think he runs around, makes some plays. He can throw a deep ball. They just don't have a very good scheme, like a mindset, I guess, so to speak. They're trying to load the box and beat people up, but this is flag football, not, indoor arena or whatever people play these days. They got to be able to spread the ball a little bit, some motion, screen, something. Because I remember all we did, we just rushed forward and brought everybody, and that was it. And they just couldn't stop us.
Yeah, and your defense was very effective that day. And I do agree about the assessment on the offense. They did try to come out in an old school kind of smash mouth style, which I can respect that as a way to compensate for a lack of a passing attack, which was the one thing that I noticed they lacked in the games I watched them in. If you can't do that, your best approach is to try to run the ball to some degree and throw the defense something they're not accustomed to. It's not always a guaranteed success, but it does just enough sometimes to get enough wins. I've seen teams do it over the years. especially like if they put an athletic quarterback back there enough to make those kind of reads. I know Punishers did a lot of that with Pomo when he plays, like, and that really helps out. But like, it does help out to compensate for a team when they're not fully able to have a passing attack to measure up to the defense they're facing, especially a Rampage defense that we've talked about. It has just been playing lights out all spring. This next game, however, was a bit of a challenge for you guys. The Browns, 27-21. I want to say that went to overtime.
Uh,
It may have. I may be remembering it wrong.
no, I think we won in the last seconds. They actually missed an extra point. And our kicker did a great job, made all of them. Their kicker missed one, and I think we won 28-26. They had the ball with like 11 seconds left and tried to take some shots downfield. Thankfully, we did our job. But yeah, that team, that was the first time I've ever experienced the Browns. I didn't know anything about them. The only thing I knew is they had a talented receiver, and B. Moore was telling me that their quarterback could play. Again, didn't know much about him. I knew that they called him Rocket. So I figured either he could throw or he could run. And we thought we had a really good game plan coming in. We rushed 4, we rushed 3. We played man. He was just making plays. I mean, you could watch it on Sundays and watch the NFL. And it's kind of like watching teams try to play against Lamar. You know, they do their job. They stop everybody. They make the right coverages. And then all of a sudden he takes off and runs for 25 and a first down. And also makes 3 people miss flags and scores on you. That's a problem. It's exhausting as a defender. I know the game before us, we were watching him. He played the Titans, and the Titans were up. They were winning. And from what I heard, he took off in the last minute of the game for a 65-yard touchdown and scored. Did it all by himself. I mean, I think he single-handedly scored 3 of the touchdowns of their team by himself.
And when you have a player like that on the offensive side that defensive players have never seen or accustomed to going against, that can really open up a lot. And, you know, we've seen that over the years. Teams come in with an offense that surprises a lot of people because they have no film on it. There's not much knowledge on it. Yep. You just hear the name and you just have to guess what they are unless you find film online or you're able to get a contact who played against them. That's the one thing about tournaments people underestimate is the anybody can just show up factor. You never know who's coming to town, what they're bringing, or how good they truly are. Semifinals, you guys went against Riot, who played what would have been a historically all-time Hall of Fame performance on defense that weekend. 0 points allowed in 5 games up until that last one in the chip when Empire put up just enough to get that win. Your impressions of the Riot matchup in the AC semis?
Man, I don't want to sound bitter, but we did our job as a team, and that was, as a defense. That was just one of those games where, as I said, we struggle when we don't put a full game together. And as you said, you know, we mentioned it in earlier, the heat, you know, you're not rolling in there with a 50, 60 man squad. You know, it was a hot day. We were there for hours. We get down to it, and we just couldn't perform on the offensive side of the ball, even defensive side of the ball. You know, I can't throw shots at the offense. They threw a deep ball down the middle of the field, and I misjudged the ball, and they scored a touchdown. Dude literally laying on the ground. He didn't even, you know, have to jump for it. He's laying on the ground behind me and caught it. So that's really my fault. That was my mistake. But, you know, we lost 6-2. It was a long weekend, and they played lights out on the defensive side of the ball. Everything we did, whether we threw screens, they were on it. They were tackling us behind the line of scrimmage for screens. Their D-line was beating us up. You know, they were blitzing and getting to Chris quick, you know, making his reads have to be that much faster. And again, you know, we're not professional athletes, so it's not like our receivers are running 4.240s and getting open now. You know, things take time, and they were just getting us off our rhythm. and they did a great job on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously, it showed, like you said. I mean, 5-6 games, no points in a tournament. I don't care if it's A, B, C, D, Pro, NFL, whatever. No points is impressive. Impressive.
I got to give it up to them, man. Like, they had an amazing performance that weekend. And that defense showed that. I feel like it's going to come out there ready for the A bracket ball if they get those guys back out there from the AC team. We're going to talk more on Riot, of course, later in the week when we do the A stuff. You guys had a rematch with them a few weeks later in OMFFL. This time, Rampage comes up on top. Your impressions of the rematch in Owings Mills down at Kenwood last time around?
I think that was a little bit more for a lot of our guys, a little bit of a revenge game. We feel personally, if we win, we beat them in AC, we beat Empire in the championship. That's how we feel. Again, that's our team. We're not going to say we're going to lose. So if we beat them, we feel like we beat Empire, and we win OC and AC back to back. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. They spoiled our dreams a little bit. So when it was come time to play them again, it was war for us. And I'm sure they felt the same way. But I think we just had a little bit more of a chip on our shoulder. And we wanted to come out and prove something. And I think the offense wanted to come out and prove something. I think they came out and, I want to say, put up 4 touchdowns. Could have been 3. But I know we scored more points than they did. And that was a huge statement for us, and definitely for our offense, confidence-wise, get some momentum. To finish a team like that, to go to the championship, it was definitely a good feeling and a nice, again, I don't try to talk too much shit, but a nice little, your last win was a fluke for us.
No Mercy Scorpions in the OMFFL championship. We talked about the gauntlet you guys had that Sunday. They had the Misfits and Maryland Titans prior, both very physical games on heated days. Rampage, you guys were able to get through the Scorpions, who were playing their best ball on that day. They had to beat a very, very good Misfits team early on. And the Titans team, I think, surprised a lot of people this year, and has stepped up in a big way. Your impressions on the OMFFL win over Scorpions?
I mean, personally, I think it was just a flip flop of OMFFL, or I'm sorry, whatever the Owings, I can't think of it, Owings Mills League
Maffle.
and Maffle. I think it was just a flip flop.
That's how I felt about it too. Like they were very much the same game going the opposite way.
It was the same exact thing. It was a long, hot day. We sat and watched them play 4 overtimes. We sat for 45 minutes waiting. We come out, they're tired and we're fresh, and we did what we wanted to do, and we beat them up. And then they came out, Maffle, and did the same thing. They waited for us. We played. It was hot, and they came out and embarrassed us. I think for us, though, it seemed like that championship against those guys, again, I think Rampage and Scorpions have a lot of history that I wasn't a part of. Only been here for, I think maybe coming up on 2 years. So a lot of history with going to championships. And I know Scorpions had a lot to say after we did win, because they've beaten us a lot more times in the game when it matters. So I think that was a big feel good for us. A little bit of finally got over the hump, so to speak. Got to take out the Scorpions in a nice fashion that we wanted. But then obviously couldn't celebrate too long, because we went down there and tried to beat them again, and that time it did not go our way. So
talking about Maffle playoffs, PME right out the gate. We had talked about PME's run in Maffle. They had 3 straight championships before having to shut down last year. They were a team nobody knew what was going to do this year, but they came out on fire in that quarterfinal matchup on Tucker Road. Impressions of that matchup of PME?
I think it was, we knew we were going to get, and I think they knew what they were going to get too. It was going to be 2 high-powered teams going at it. They do a lot of good things on offense. We do a lot of good things on defense. We do a lot of good things on offense. They do a lot of good things on defense. 2 great quarterbacks, great receiving cores. I mean, I think it was a matchup on almost every level throughout that game. And I think when they scored, we scored. When they stopped us, we stopped them. It was just one of those great old school football games. And it was going to come down to who made more plays. And it showed. I mean, we took the lead. But I was actually talking to Steve after the game. And again, this is not taking anything away from PME. If you watch the game, there was one drive. We had 4 touchdowns taken away from us. We had 2 drop touchdowns. We had another touchdown that was called back from offensive pass interference. And then another drop, and then all on the same drive. And then finally the 5th one we punched in. But that was, I mean, we had 5 defensive offsides penalties, which gave them 3 first downs on crucial drives, and that turned into points. We had a couple holding calls on the offensive line. We had a bunch of false start penalties. I mean, it was just an ugly, sloppy game on our side. And we think if we clean those things up, I don't think that was a close game. But they played lights out. We played well. And when it came down to it, I mean, that was the game. They came all the way down, 40 seconds left or something like that. They catch a jump ball. Thankfully we pull his flag, stop him short. And I had to catch that pick and take it to the house for the ball game. But that was that type of game, just exhausting. Who's going to do what? And we just thankfully made the last play to get out of there.
Fantastic game, instant classic between Rampage, PME. You got to give it up to Playmakers Elite. They returned in a big way this year in Maple, and they nearly knocked off Rampage right off the gate.
Yep.
Semifinals, you guys played Southside. They're a team that not many people have seen. Your impressions on Southside following that matchup? 15-7 is what I heard the score was. Maybe a little off on that. Your impressions of the game?
I think from at least my impression, our side, I think that was kind of almost a slump, so to speak. I think we were so high strung on the PME game. This is the game. Like, we got to beat PME. We beat PME, we're good. And I think a couple of the guys on the team, obviously, were a little salty about getting PME first. I think but we lost 2 games that year, and so rightfully so, we deserve to get a good team first. So we started off hot, gave all of our energy in this PME game. And then when it came to Southside, you could tell the focus was gone a little bit. We were kind of hanging by the skin of our teeth, just making some plays. A lot of guys had to do some individual playmaking to get stuff done. It wasn't a lot of team stuff going on. It wasn't like we were dominating the game. It seemed like the whole game we were tired or just things weren't going the right way, or we weren't focused, and it took 1 or 2 guys just to make a play and get out of there. But that game should have been a lot more impressive, I think. I think we played down to our level. I think we didn't compete as high as we should have. We got away with a win, which was great. But the way we played, to be honest, if we were upset, I don't think it would have been a shock, because we were not playing our best football. We weren't all focused. And you could tell after we won, there wasn't a lot of excitement and hype and let's go to the championship and let's go play these guys again. It was more of a, damn, we got to play another one. Shit. So that was kind of the vibe I got. A lot of us were dog tired. We were down a bunch of guys. A lot of guys couldn't show up, and it was just damn, we got to play one more. So that was kind of my vibe I got from it.
Moving on now, talk about your opponents in the Charm City Classic. You're going to be facing off first against Gusto Land, a team that Rampage as an organization is familiar with. I don't know if you were there for that 2019 game in York or not. The first meeting where Rampage took down Gusto 27-21 in overtime on their way to a Clash of York championship against Renegades. That was an absolute classic. Gusto Land's first weekend playing 9-man. They made a huge splash, beating out Riot, the Raiders, and then giving Rampage a battle in the Clash of York. Then last year they met again, same field in York, this time in the Summer Showdown, where Rampage knocked off Gusto Land and route to a championship victory over BC Elite to win the Summer Showdown. Were you either at those matchups, Craig?
I wasn't at the 2019. I was at the 2020, the last year one. I was there for that.
Okay. Memories of that 2020 game, the Summer Showdown, the first 9-man event tournament, actually, right after COVID started. We did a little 4-teamer team blunt talk, of course, with Rampage, BC Elite, and Gusto Land. Great day up there. Memories of that matchup of Gusto.
Man, it feels like it was forever ago. That was actually my first tournament jumping on the scene. Never been in a tournament before. The one thing I do remember about those guys is they had so many dudes and they were gigantic. I thought all their offensive linemen were like 6'6" and 300 pounds. I was like, Jesus Christ. I remember a little bit. Oh man, to be honest, not much. I remember their offense. It seemed that they made a lot of mistakes. But also though we were also very loaded, that team. Dio came play
tell me about it.
Yeah, Dio came down, played quarterback for us. We had Dion and Shaq playing corner. That was my first time playing safety. We had some guys from Virginia come down and play for us. But obviously, the Misfits guys were with us at the time. We had a receiver from PME come play with us. We were loaded. So the one thing I do remember though is they made a lot of mistakes, threw a bunch of picks, but they were definitely competitive. They were scrappy. They played to the very last minute. But to be truthful, the most I know about them right now is they're black and gold. That's the most I know. Sorry.
Nomads.
No disrespect. No disrespect to Gusto. No disrespect to Gusto. I don't want somebody talking shit to me on Sunday or something. And you remember me now? I don't want none of that.
I don't believe you had a chance to play against Nomads yet. Have you had a chance to really see them at all?
I played them once.
You did play them once. Okay.
Where did we play at?
I'm really sure offhand.
I want to say at Randallstown on the grass field. I think we played those guys. They were a team, if I remember, they actually jumped out on us, a 2-touchdown lead. I think what hurt them is their cockiness kind of killed them a little bit. They had a lot of young athletes that were running around making some serious plays, making some big plays in crucial moments. I think they just got a little cocky, a little high strung. And then when it came down to it, we ended up fighting back and winning the game. But they had some dudes. They got some ball players over there. Like I said, they're very competitive. But yeah, I mean, that's the most I know about it. They're orange, right? Are they orange?
Yeah, they were orange and black.
Yeah. I mean, they got some players.
Final question.
Yep.
Who do you see Rampage playing for the B chip?
Got to get there first. We got to get to the B chip first.
If you were to pick an opponent, like let's just say anybody you think's going to get there, and not you guys, who would it be?
Man, let me take a look here. Sorry if I talk a little long. My coaching comes out sometimes.
It's all good, Craig. It's all good.
Try to talk like a normal person, not a shit talker. I'm a little different on the field. Man. I'd be curious to see what the bad boys look like this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was a lot of drama kind of going on after the OMFFL loss.
They've not been the same team since Ocean City.
Yeah, since OC, and they've just some stuff's going on down there, and I know a couple guys on the team, and it just doesn't seem almost as they don't have that swagger a little bit. So, but they're always a threat. So I'd like to see what they got. And honestly, in the B division, has to be the Maryland Titans.
Maryland Titans, good pick.
As long as they're not in our bracket.
They've been drawing you a lot lately on Sundays.
Those are not in our bracket, but yeah, I would like to see the Maryland Titans. Yeah, yep.
All right. Thank you, Craig, for joining us tonight. We'll see you Saturday on the field as Rampage will be taking on Gusto Land and Nomads. And we'll see you then, Craig.
See you then. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. Craig Pettit of Rampage coming on to talk about the last few months. They've been a very busy spring Rampage has had between AC, OMFFL, MAFL, 3 9-man games a day. This next guest, however, he's cross-trained in a lot of different styles. Just read up the other day, Tough League, 604 yards, 9 touchdowns from the Dragons quarterback. If I'm butchering this, I apologize. Tony Panio.
That's not bad. You can hear me okay?
Bad. I can hear you perfectly fine, Tony. Perfect. I want to say I got this right. Last year, I believe I covered you at Worlds playing for Downstate against Nomads. Is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds right. That was our first game in that Saturday or whatever the opening round.
Yes. Okay. I remember going down there, covering that game, watching that Downstate team and thinking this quarterback they have is really good. And I don't think a lot of people have seen enough of him yet. And I feel like you have made a big splash onto the scene, especially a 9-man. We go back to AC. Let's talk about that. I was actually at both games for the Apex Dragons, courtesy of Workhorse Media. Shout out Pat Johnson, Eddie Fertucci, and all the work you guys do. Going back to that first game on Saturday, I want to say you guys took on the Affiliate Nation. You guys came in extremely light into that game, about 14 players, I think a little less at kickoff, actually, against a veteran AFN team that we saw coming together with Team Petit and putting together a squad that I feel like is going to be a very interesting team to look forward to in the B division. We'll see if they come up this weekend together. But let's go back to that AFN game, 19-12, game lost in the final drive. I believe you guys were right there in the red zone, were unable to score. Impressions of that game against the Affiliate Nation?
Yeah, so first off, we had a merger of a team. So originally, my first ever tournament was actually with the Punishers back in Baltimore 2019. And it was a great showing, but it was my first time ever playing.
Okay, so that's crazy. I believe that's the first time I actually saw you then. Was that tournament. I couldn't remember that game really well because that one was further back against Aftermath. I think you guys played, correct?
Yeah, we had played Aftermath, the Scorpions, and I think we played the Blazers, and then eventually lost to the Dogs in the semifinals, 16-13. But that was my first run through 9-man. I had such a blast.
Wow.
And then from there, like, the Punishers, kind of had their quarterback, obviously. It was just like a 1 week, one tournament type of thing. And then I played in Rhode Island, and we actually, for a team called Downstate, I'm not sure if you remember them. And in Rhode Island, we actually played in the A division.
Yeah, I covered Downstate Worlds when you guys played Nomad. That's where I thought I first saw you at, but now I realize I'm looking back now, it was Charm City against Aftermath. That was a wild game. There was about we had scored to think we won the game in the final 12 minutes.
Yeah, we had scored like twice in the last 5 minutes, and they scored twice as well, and they won on a walk-off touchdown or something. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, awesome game.
Yeah, so I guess going back, so we had played Rhode Island in the A division, and we had actually, believe it or not, we had beaten Second Gen and Dogs on Saturday, and then we played the Blazers and then lost to them at like by one or 2 points, and like we got stopped on the 1 yard line. So the reason I'm saying that is we went to Worlds thinking we're going to have a great shot. We decided to, move down to B, and we felt like we'd have a great opportunity. And then first off, we faced the Nomads, who are a great team, and they shut us down a little bit. I think they ended up winning like, 14-7 or something. And I remember going into that game and realizing like we don't have the same guys we had in that Rhode Island tournament because it was Florida and people, our attendance was not very good. So we had a kind of poor showing, a disappointing showing. Yeah. And, it's a little different. It was my first time ever traveling to Florida. And, you realize like all these people say they're in, and then it comes to the game. And, we only had, again, small thing, 15, 16 guys missing a lot of offensive linemen, what have you. So we didn't have a great showing. So fast forward to AC, we're getting to play AFN, and I'm like looking around, and I'm not the captain of the team. I'm just playing quarterback, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. We don't have 19, 20 guys like AFN does, and it looks like they have a starting offense and a starting defense. And I think by the time the game started, I think we had 12 guys, and I think 13 and 14 came. So when there's no moral victories in football, but I think the fact we played them tough and had an opportunity to win at the end of the game was a little bit of a confidence boost for us, because we felt like we just didn't have a lot of guys. I actually played defense in that game, which is atrocious. I'm maybe the worst flag grabber in flag football history, not just in the tournament right now.
Hey,
And I was actually
low before that we had to put our guard at corner.
Yeah, it was not an ideal situation, but look, all hands on deck, try and win. And we played them tough, and they had really, if I just remember, they had 3 or 4 plays on offense where they threw a quick little screen, and all of our guys missed flags. They were shifty, and they made guys miss, and they ended up scoring. So though we lost that game, I think it gave us a little confidence boost. Like, okay, they had just shut out the Rebels or something. We went on, we moved the ball up and down the field. We had an opportunity to win. We just having to get stopped on like 4th down or something on the goal line. So that gave us a little bit of confidence. But AFN was a good team, and they had a lot of guys, and it was a good welcome after not playing for almost 14 months of travel ball.
I was about to say, I know it had to be a while up there because I hadn't really seen you at a lot of
14 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because after Worlds, I didn't really see you after that.
Yeah.
But the other impression I had on you after watching those games is that you have this ability to just put it together no matter what you're working with. You end up grinding out. Yeah. Like I look back at the game with Nomads. You said you only had like 15, 16 guys. You guys were very light against a Nomads team that ended up being in the semifinals of Worlds that year, falling just short to the Wolfpack. I go back to the AFN game. AFN had a lot of guys between them and Petit. They had just about close to a full team. You guys in the Dragons came out lighter on terms of numbers and lighter in the trenches as well. That's a very hard team to go against.
Right.
When you don't have the trenches as the nation. Second game out, though, you guys took on the Long Island Demons. Nice little GCFFA B versus A matchup. Your impressions of the Demons game, because that's where I thought you guys really shined, was that one.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of history with them. I don't mean this in a bad way or an arrogant way, but I've only been shut out. I've been playing flags since 2009. I've only been shut out twice in my life. One of them was to a local team named ABI, and the other time was to the Long Island Demons. I played them in the Corona Classic with a team called the Pandas, which is a team I grew up playing with, and they shut us out 20-0. So they were a team who was kind of on my radar as like a little bit of a revenge factor personally, just because I pride myself on being able as a quarterback to put up points. And they had shut us out in that Corona Classic. And I said, there's a little bit of a revenge factor. So I had a little extra going into that game. And I felt like we moved the ball really well. I don't remember the final score. It might have been 20-12, 20-14. And we moved the ball very well, and we converted in the goal line, the red zone, pretty well. So it was just a good offensive effort. And after not grabbing really flags the first game, our defense really stepped up and did a lot better versus them. So it was a little bit of a shocker because they had just won. They'd beaten the Rebels earlier that day. They beat them pretty good. So we thought this would have been the tougher game, and it probably was. I think we just played better. We had a key receiver come who showed up for the second game. His name is Mike Rostelli. I mean, short guy, 5'6", 5'7", just really underrated player. And he had a very good game versus them. And it seemed like we had a little bit of an edge after having that first game where we were just so unsure. We had a little more confidence going into that game. I think we performed a lot better.
Yeah, you guys, to me, took a big step that weekend. And I thought, what could this team do with a full roster? What could it do if they had everybody there, if things were working out as planned? There was a lot of potential. Day 2, NWO, a tough draw, fresh out the gate. Not sure it helped that both teams were wearing white either, I'd imagine.
I would say we lost that game before we stepped on the field, and I'll explain why. That game started at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
At 8 a.m., there was 5 people there from our team suited up and ready to go. And at 7:58, there were 2. So when we talk about like our whole thing, this tournament is just attendance. Just get to the game. If we're all at the game, we're there. We're ready to go. If we lose, go 0-3 or 0-2. As long as we're there, we give ourselves a shot. I think that's the most important thing. I was saying to that team, they had won. I think we scored a late touchdown with like 3 minutes left for us to go up. And then they went back down the field and scored. And then we got the ball like a minute left, and I think I threw a pick. I don't think we scored. But the thing was, I was saying to all their guys, I knew a couple of them because I think some of them were from around New York. And I was just saying, you guys won the game because you guys had your whole team here at 8 a.m. and we didn't. And I think that's one thing our team just needs to correct, because we got to give ourselves an opportunity to win. With that being said, were we going to go on a long run that Sunday with only 14, 15 guys? No, I don't think so. So we're really working hard on our roster. I can tell you right now, we're going to have more than 14 guys going to Maryland to the Charm City Classic. So I think that's a really important thing. But that game was lost before we got there, and I'm a big advocate, and so is our captains, just on like making sure we're all there on time for this one, and hopefully that makes a huge difference. But they deserved it because they wanted it more, and it was clear because we didn't have our guys there on time.
Yeah, lack of prep on day 2 will kill a team more than anything. You need to be up on time. I get it. 8 a.m. can be tough for a lot of guys, especially after a long work week and travel trip. But it comes with success and the desire to want to go out there and succeed no matter the obstacle. If you're told be there at 8, you're there at 7:30 as a player.
Yeah.
You got to be ready. You got to be stretched. I saw too much of that in Atlantic City. I saw that with Steel. They had only about 8 guys all game.
Yeah.
And they were done in less than half an hour because all of them were playing out of position.
Yeah.
And
It's an interesting thing because like we have some older veteran guys, and then we have some like younger 24, 25-year-olds. And, it was the old guys and the young guys just all showing up like late. And I was just like, I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to, flag football and stuff. So like I was there, ready to go, and we had a couple other guys, but I'm just like, this is not good. We're not deserving of this game. And I know it's Atlantic City, so I get like the partying aspect and stuff, but like you can go there the 51 other weekends and party and have a great time, but this particular weekend we needed to be more focused. So we had some good moments in Atlantic City, but like that was a disappointing end to the Sunday, because it just felt like we weren't prepared to play. So that I don't think will be an issue in this tournament by any means. So I'm excited for that.
I hope it works out, because like I always hate seeing that on teams. Like you put in too much work, you're putting in too much risk just to go out there and not have a collective effort from everybody else who made the same commitment. And that's the one thing that will kill a team more than anything, is when your guys are not on the same page. They're waking up right before kickoff and sending you a text saying they're on their way to the field.
That's the worst. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting people down.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Like we were able to get up at 6 for this. So you got
right.
Yeah, it's like going to a job. Like if we got a busy Sunday morning, a big breakfast thing, and you're all calling out of my restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're gonna destroy.
Well, some of those people won't be back. So I mean, we have a little bit more of a committed group coming, and that's the important thing. And hopefully it just is a better showing. And I have all the confidence it will be. I trust our captains, and I think it's going to be a big difference. And if we have our attendance there and we lose, we lose. But I think we'll have a much better showing than we did on that Sunday, because it was a pretty good Saturday for us. We were moving and grooving a little.
I feel like you guys have potential to do just that at Charm City. Like I said, with you at quarterback, there's always a chance of winning. I've seen what you've done in Tough League. I've seen what you've done up there in New Era downstate. You have a resume. First time I saw you was at Charm City. I'm glad you reminded me that was you. I didn't even realize that at the time. This is my first time even seeing the Punisher. Was actually that weekend for the first time.
Right.
So like looking back at that game and remembering it now and remembering y'all's performance the rest of that weekend, yeah, you are that guy who can make a whole team better around him, but as being on the field. There's a rare kind of quarterback like that. And watching you play the last few tournaments, you're that guy. I can tell.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we've had some up and down. We've won some big games. Like I said, back in Rhode Island, we beat the Dogs in second gen. Then we've lost some games. Like I felt like we tied a game I remember in Worlds, we were up 8 with like 20 seconds left, and they had 80 yards to go, and they somehow tied the game. This was versus the Wolfpack, I think, who ended up winning the following year. But that year we had played them tough, and we were up, should have won. So like going forward, like, I want to put a good performance individually, but if I don't play well and we're able to make a serious run and win some games and go to a B championship and win that, like, that would be so cool. But I appreciate what you said, and I want to just give our team an opportunity to win. And that's, the goal is 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns in these tournaments. If we could put 20 plus on the board, we have a good chance to win. And I know a lot of teams pride themselves on defense. And, as a quarterback, obviously that's an important thing. But our job is to put points on the board. And we've done that in a lot of tournaments. And hopefully we continue to do that in this one as well. And then our defense plays strong and will be tough to beat.
I think you guys definitely present a challenge, but you will be challenged early on, 10:10 a.m. on field 3, taking on the Maryland Titans, a team that we ranked very highly previously. We have them number 11 in my national rankings. Remember, 2 teams excluded due to team minimums, but here in the DMV this year, they were the number 3 team overall behind Rampage and No Mercy. They put together a hell of a run, beating the Misfits, beating the Scorpions. They ended up tying Rampage when they played them. Maryland Titans, a very physical, old school team. This will be a nice battle between you and Doc out there for the Titans. Doc's been around the game for about 40 years now. Yeah, 55, turning 56 very soon.
Oh, God bless. Thank you for all his service to the game. That's unbelievable.
The man's a magician out there on the field. He makes things happen. You got to give him a lot of credit. I think that's going to be an awesome matchup between you and Doc to watch. Right afterwards, you're going to get a bit of a different matchup. We just talked about the Dirty Birds earlier with Craig Pettit, a team that brings a very, very good defense. They play an old school physical style. The only thing we mentioned that really hurts them is their offense. Have you had a chance to see the Dirty Birds yet this year?
No, so I know the Titans, somewhat well. I know they're a team. I've seen a little film on them, and I know they're a team that's always consistently in the B division, run championship winning. So we know them pretty well. The Dirty Birds, we honestly don't know very well. But I will say this: on Saturday, it's a cliche thing, but I think the biggest thing is our team to just focus on what we can control and playing good football from our end. When you start worrying about, I think on Saturday, getting into playing these other teams and like what they're going to bring, I think it's important, but I think you want to play good football to get yourself into a position to win on Sunday. And, the Titans will be a challenge, and the Dirty Birds, I'm sure, will be a challenge as well. But I think the important thing is we want to make sure we're playing football that is good for us getting into Sunday, because, if we don't play well and, we're able to squeak by and win some games, that's great, but we want to be playing good football and, want to focus on us more than anything else. And it's no disrespect to any other team, but I think that's a good approach that, a lot of teams should have on that first day, especially.
For sure. Who would you have as your opponent in a championship scenario on Sunday? What team would you expect to see in a championship? I word this to say, that one team you would expect to see across from you in that B bracket.
I've had a little experience playing the Nomads, so I guess I go with them. I'm new to 9-man, travel. So I see a lot of names on there, and I only recognize 6 to 8 teams. So there's, like a team like Riot or like Riot Squad or Rampage. Like, I don't know these teams as well. I know Rampage has had, great success. Riot's had great success. I know the Nomads have great success, but I've played against the Nomads, and I think their quarterback's excellent. I think their defense is really good, and I think they have a very good, sound team. So I would expect to see someone like them, not necessarily them, but someone like them. So I have a little bit of a bias because I played them twice, and they were very tough when we played them, played very well together. So, if we do make a run to the championship, I would expect to see a team that's 1, physical, and 2, has played together a long time. One of the big things our team doesn't have right now, and why I'm realistically understanding that it may be tough to make a run, is this is only our second tournament really together. I've merged with a team. I love them. They're great guys, but we're just new playing with each other. So it's a work in progress. When you have a team that's been playing for 5, 6, 7 tournaments or whatever, it's a lot tougher. I know the Nomads are one of those teams that have done that. So I would say I would definitely have an eye out for them. in terms of what they do.
I agree. Nomads have always come out and played on a very high level. Disappointing day two for them, falling to Empire.
Sure, but Empire ended up winning, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I think it took them by surprise, though. I don't think Nomads
Right.
expected it. I think they stepped on them a little bit. But I
Yeah.
think this time around, they're going to be refocused, especially with them. They're going to have to go against Rampage at 12:40, I believe, will be the kickoff for that one. That's going to be a tough challenge for them.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be shocked to see them on that other side of the bracket. They've been known to make runs like this. This is a team that's been around since 1992 and have definitely shown why they're a staple in New Jersey.
Now, Joe, you've been around a longer time than me, obviously, and are more familiar with, the 9-man setup. I am sometimes so surprised how quick the games go when you're actually in them. So sometimes you could be having only your second drive and you're at the 2-minute warning. So, it takes one drive, a drop pass that goes for a pick or a tip ball or something funky that happens, a penalty that, knocks you out of your drive. And now you're kind of behind the 8 ball, down 7-0, 13-0. You haven't done too much wrong on offense. And the same thing goes for defense. It's like the offense throws a pick 6. So I could see a Nomads team, being taken by surprise by a team they maybe haven't heard of. And boom, that team is down on them really quick, because that's kind of how this format is. It's not a very long game. It goes quick if you're out there. I'm sure a lot of players would say that too.
Well, we've been talking about it a lot in the show lately, that the old conventional thinking of 9-man was to play it in the 11-man style minus 2 tackles. That's the old school train of thought that I was taught growing up. Hell, my dad's team ran a wing T offense.
That's
back
awesome.
in the 90s. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, straight up. Fullbacks, 2 tight ends, a running back, quarterback under center, like old school 9-man. But the one thing I've noticed in the last few years, and we talked about it last night a little bit, are teams coming in from other styles and being able to make the transition to 9-man. And a large part of that is their ability to execute their scheme, transitioning from, say, an XFFL 7-man to 9-man, which you can learn a lot about 9-man principles playing that XFFL 7-man style.
Right, because they got the 3 linemen, right?
Yeah. To some people, they may think it's a different game, but you can take parts of that and apply it to it. We saw what Empire did. They had that chemistry down on offense. They had just enough time to do that. They played great defense on day 2. That helped them out a lot. We go further back. Back in the day, a team called Adrenaline Rush won a Hagerstown tournament locally here against 7-point spread, fresh out of an A bracket national championship run. And a large part of that was bringing on Chris Boone and that Virginia 8-man style of offense, and being able to execute so well that they were putting up at least 20 points per game in the A division, that tournament.
Right.
Teams are able to just, in my opinion, and those 2 teams won that in their first 9-man tournaments.
Right. Yeah. The similar setting, so they're able to adapt pretty quickly.
Yeah. Whereas, a lot of teams, I feel like, when you don't know a team, you just see a name, you've never played against their style. All you know is that they're from this state and that's it. It can really
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't sleep on those 8 or 7-man teams, because they've proven they can make that jump.
Right. Yeah. I've grown up playing. I first started 7-man, like really, early on. And then I moved to 8-man a little bit, and I've kind of been playing it all now. And I enjoy 9-man, but I got to say, I run an 8-man and 9-man scheme. The offense is very similar. I'd say there's a couple of things I've learned that don't work as well in 9-man. I don't maybe throw it as quick in 8-man, but in 9-man, like some of these, screens and, middle screens and wide receiver screens and, these quick little hitch routes, like, are really, really good. But I run a very similar scheme in terms of 8-man and 9-man that I found a little success with. So I understand what you're saying. And look, football's football. So if you have a scheme and you have things that kind of work, it's important to kind of, go with what you feel comfortable with. There are teams that, maybe try and adapt and, run a 9-man playbook. You got to go with whatever you think is best for yourself as a quarterback and what's best for your team. And I've taken that 8-man style. I've had a little success with 9-man, though we're not we still got a long way to go, but I do feel like we do put up points. So I feel like there is some consistency with, the 8-man and 9-man. So I understand what you're saying.
That's the one thing that stood out to me. Like with the teams you've been on so far, I have noticed are able to put up that 2-score minimum that you need to at least have a sustainable offense in 9-man. I always say if you're not able to put up more than 1 score per
Yeah.
game, you're not doing anything. 2 scores, you're getting somewhere. If you're able to put 3 scores up, that's even better. If you're sometimes 4 or 5, it usually don't happen unless a shootout breaks out. But if you're able to put up 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, I feel like you have a solid offense to start with.
Yeah, our goal is 3 to 4. I'm sure that's a lot of offenses. There's only been one game where I've had less than 2 in the 9-man tournament, and that was versus the Nomads. So that's why they have a huge, credit from my end. They held us to 7. But every other game, we feel like we put somewhere between 12 to 26. And I know that gives teams an opportunity, if we play some good defense, a chance to win. So that is the goal going in. Same thing. We play the Titans and we play the Dirty Birds, like try and get to that 20 marker, 3 touchdowns, give our defense a chance. And that gives our team a chance. So that's, obviously our goal as offense. And, these problem with 9-man is too, these guys are so physical and you got to be good. You got to be crisp. And if you're not, they're going to shut you out and, not even thinking about you. So we have our goal. We hope to do that. And in the past we have, but it's, every tournament's a new team we're bringing. So it's tough to say what this one's going to bring. I'm hopeful for the best.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do out there this weekend in the Charm City Classic. I give you a lot of credit, Tony. You mentioned successful 6-man, 8-man, 9-man, 7-man. You put in the work. I always say it's good to cross train in styles. And honestly, as a quarterback, it's even better to have more field to work with and another receiver to throw to. Agreed.
I don't hate this style. There is room. Some guys do run wide open, and you don't see that sometimes in 6-man and 7-man and 8-man. There is some space. You get the right route concept, you get the right receiver and the right matchup. There's room, so it does benefit. But that pressure, D-line pressure, is just a little bit different than some of the other formats. So that's the only thing you gotta get used to.
Facts, absolute facts. Thank you, Tony, for joining us tonight. We'll see you Saturday. You'll be taking on the Maryland Titans and Dirty Birds. Looking forward to both matchups. Tony Panio of the Dragons, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and thank you, Joey, for all you do with all this, media stuff. You and everyone else incorporated with this. You guys are awesome, and I don't know if people tell you enough, but you guys do a great job. So I appreciate you having me on, and we look forward to seeing you in Baltimore. And thanks for all you do.
Thank you, thank you. And let's take another man who just joined this call. He is a B champion now, #1 live streamer in XFFL Productions. Introducing Mr. Mean Mark Brown of Riot Squad. Mark, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Doing good, Mark. How you feeling? You got that championship, got that ring finally.
Finally, I had to get one.
How's it feel, man? Like Riot Squad, you guys have been a team I've been like keeping an eye on like over the last couple of years, wondering when are they going to get through, break on in and get that chip. And a lot of disappointment this year. You had a very tough game. I don't know if you were there for the Blazers game or not in Nationals. I want to clarify on that. Did not make the trip. All right. What's that?
Nope. I was working the flag tent in Nationals.
Gotcha. Okay. I couldn't remember whether you may have got in or not. I always get blurry on who participates in what games. Try to keep track of that. Ocean City, though, we talked about it. You guys had a very good day one in Ocean City, shutting down Blackhawks and X-Dogs, 2 longtime staples of this area in flag football. What was the key to success on that first day of OC? Because we don't really speak to anybody from Riot Squad all year. So I want to get a perspective of you going through that Ocean City experience, starting with the first game against the X-Dogs.
So not really remembering completely all the games that happened in Ocean City on Saturday, like how exactly they all went down. But on Saturday,
just speak to the best of your ability.
We on that Saturday we just played and had fun and rotated nicely, and everybody was on one similar track. I mean, that Saturday we went 2-0 plus 48, I think, and. I mean, you can't really ask for a better Saturday than that.
Yeah, you guys were executing on all cylinders, plus 43, number one seed going into Sunday. However, Baez Auto, impressions of that Baez matchup, 26-19. Baez got the win on Riot Squad. The 26 points, almost 3 times the amount or 4 times the amount that you guys surrendered on day one.
So with the Baez game, and like not those are my guys on Riot Squad. Obviously, I play with them every time I play. A lot of the issues with Riot Squad on Sundays isn't talent; it's execution. It's who's in and who should be in and who isn't in. That kind of gets in the way on Sundays. Baez had, I don't remember his name, but the boy was like 6'4", 230, solid receiver. We just didn't have an answer for him. We had a tip ball that should have been a pick six. Our D lineman wasn't wearing flags. We had our receivers run into the goalpost 3 times before halftime. All touchdowns. I mean, you can sit here all day and make excuses, but we lost. It was disappointing. But yeah, that's what happened down there.
Atlantic City, you guys had a tough draw with Rampage. We talked to Craig about it earlier. You were actually filming, so you did not get a chance to see it. Dude, I've covered too much flag football this year. Jesus, I cannot keep my memory straight at this point.
I was out there frying.
Yeah, you were out there getting cooked at AC. You had the easy. I can't say the easier job. It's, bro, that heat was insane that day. Jesus. So I can't really speak on. So we can't really talk on AC. My bad. My research was off on that one. Just bad memory on my end.
Yeah,
drag getting old, Mark.
AC, I was bouncing in between fields doing lives and stuff. So that was cool. That was a different experience.
Yeah, talk about experience. You started live streaming back at AFFL, I think, is when we debuted you out.
Yep.
Yeah. How's it been so far? You've worked in 2 very extremes in regards to AFFL and AC.
Weekends. That was crazy. One weekend is storming and freezing and can't feel your fingers. And the next weekend you were frying.
Bro, that was like some of the I've been doing live stream in all sorts of weather. I've done it in a tsunami before. We've done it in extreme heat. Just the 2 weather types to experience back-to-back weekend, especially for you making your debut, your first week on the job. AFFL, you gotta film in, yeah.
Every time a gust of wind came, took my umbrella, started trying to take me off the field.
Say, bro, that wind was in 25-mile-per-hour winds is what it was recorded as that weekend with a gale warning.
Yeah, that was wild.
Dude. And that was your first day on the job.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, we talked about that AC heat. That AC heat was
different.
Yeah, I've never in my life have gotten dehydrated from just sitting in one place. Like,
yeah,
like just being out in the heat alone, like it was draining. Like that heat was just different. And I give a lot of credit to you for being able to tough it out in both conditions, especially AC. You made it out all the way. You stuck through the B championship. You got to cover Empire against Riot. How was it being able to cover a circuit championship for the first time?
It was cool. I like all aspects. Like I said, nationals, I was selling flags. AC, AFFL, I was doing lives. Albany, I was playing. So, I like getting in on all the different levels of what there is.
Yeah, like you get a chance to experience different things. Like that's the one thing about this sport is like if you're able to do different things and have different experiences, you can learn a lot. You can grow a lot. I talked about it. I started out as just a cameraman. Then I was offensive coordinator. Then I was head coach. Then I was a write-up media guy. Then I played for a season. then here I am today as a live streamer. You know, I've kind of looked at my next step too. Like, what am I going to do next in this field? Because I feel like this is something where you don't have to just give up once you're done playing or once you're done running a team.
Oh, not
Yeah. Like, I feel like that's something a lot of players should have. A lot of guys should have that attitude of not just being about themselves or just a team, but like giving back to the community later on. Because if we don't, you can't grow the sport for the next generation. And there's a lot of buy-in by a lot of the kids right now. And, you know, you're up there with XFFL. I know this was a Riot Squad interview, but like, I want to drift into a Mark Brown interview a little bit here. You guys up there, I was able to check out the product for the first time when I went there for the January tournament in Scranton, the overnight. I was pretty impressed with like the style of play. I akin it to being like somewhere in between 9-man and 5-man.
and that goal for our tournament style was to give you sort of that 9-man feel where you can still bring out your linemen and the linemen are still going to be able to play, but you can run it tournament style and run 3 games that's one time and bust it out and it not be a 2-day thing. It'd be a 6-hour thing.
Yeah. And I had a good time covering that event. Like the games itself on the field filming, it had that vibe of a 9-man game with the trench war, but also had the quickness of the 5-man game where it's just nonstop without any sort of breath, except for the 1 minute halftime. You might get 2 minutes if you're lucky in some styles.
Yeah, they're good. They're fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, we try to run those as much as we can in off seasons and stuff like that.
And
overnight, that was rough.
Yeah. And you know, we mentioned XFFL teams making the jump. Empire, they had a good run of success over in AC. You know, over the weekend, I believe they played the Punishers very close early on in the A playoff game. AC, or not AC, gosh damn, Albany is what I want to say. I don't want to call it Albany. Lydia's Legacy. I didn't get much info back on that. What was some of the teams who stood out at Lydia's Legacy that you may have noticed watching?
So I actually played most of this tournament, so I didn't really get to watch much of the teams.
All right, so let's reword it. Teams you faced off against that weekend.
We played Long Island Reapers twice, once in the pool play, once in the chip. We played the Hawks twice, once in pool play, once in our first round of playoffs. And we also played Chaos.
It's gonna be. I want to ask about a few of the teams. First off, Reapers. You mentioned the tie on day 1. It's always nice to finish out a tie on day 2. That's always a good feeling when you're able to finish it out and resolve it, especially in a championship game. Walk us through that tie game first and foremost.
So on both games on Saturday, seemed like all weekend we needed to make it harder than we had to. Our first game was actually against the New Jersey Hawks, which is a new team trying to make their way onto the circuit. They're semi-local to me, so I know a bunch of them from playing. They have a lot of guys that are new to 9-man, but they're fast. And we were down 14. We scored 30 seconds left to be down and kick the 1, put us down 5. And then we got the onside kick. Our kicker actually pulled the flag on the onside kick. And we scored a touchdown in the 30 seconds and won the game by 1. And then the second game of pool play was the Reapers, and it was 14-0. And we scored on that last play. I don't know if you saw Vic McKenzie post it. He caught the ball just short, pitched it back to Dontrell.
Bro, that was sick. I was actually watching it on the desk yesterday, right here at the office. What an ending. what an ending. What a way to win a championship, especially when it looked like Riot Squad was down and out after having to punt on 4th down and the Reapers were driving to midfield. What was going through your mind on the Reapers drive before the game winner for you guys?
Well, that was pool play, the pitch play.
Oh, okay. There was another pitch play, I thought. Am I remembering wrong? Maybe I was watching. Okay. I swear, because there was a pitch on that last game, I thought too.
Yes, our game winner on.
Okay, that's right. That's where you threw me off. I thought you transitioned to that game when you brought it the pitch. Okay, because I didn't see day one. That didn't get filmed on our end.
In the pool play game was when Vic did the tap back to Dontrell to tie it. In the chip game, AJ scrambled and pitched back to the tight end who finished the run into the end zone, which gave us the 5-point lead in that.
That's crazy that it happened the same kind of play, like both games like that, different results.
We were down every game. Every game we were down. We came out and just were down and had to fight back and make it harder on ourselves every time.
I think that helped you guys out a lot because I go back to the OC performance. You almost had too easy of a first day, which we talk about sometimes. That gives teams a false sense of security going into day 2. Where, and I've been through this. Like when we put TBT and Clash of York, we came out, we beat the Bullets and Rampage in day 1. We thought we had something really good going into day 2. Ended up tripping against the Blackhawks in the quarterfinals instead, and missed out on a championship that a team we beat in Rampage ended up winning. Which I always say is the worst feeling in the world when a team you beat is the one who wins it all.
Yeah. Yeah, like we went into Sunday with the mindset that we were down 14-0 to start every game. And then it just made us fight. We fought. We gave up the 2 touchdowns we gave up in the Hawks game were both broken plays. The 2 touchdowns we gave up in the chip game were both broken plays. Just long quarterback run down the sideline. We missed the flag. He runs the whole way. He scrambles out, our corner pulls up, receiver's wide open, 80-yard play. So, like, it's real diminishing, but it made us actually, like, fight harder. So, no one actually came out and put together drives against us, if that makes sense. Like, we were losing off of deep balls and broken plays, but it made our offense play with more intensity to try to match the points.
And I think when you are able to get that kind of performance out of your team, it's a step in the right direction. And I feel like this bodes well for Riot Squad, especially coming into this weekend. You guys will be taking on Venom and the Borough Bullies. First, your impression of Maryland Venom. Have you been able to see much on them?
I haven't seen anything on Venom, no.
Okay.
So
I'm about to say, aren't they another XFFL team?
Yes, sir. But I don't know what they got something working behind the scenes. I believe, don't hold this to me, but their quarterback is normally AJ Long, who just won the Lydia's Classic with the Punishers.
Okay.
So see what happens there.
He's impressed me very much so far. Like, he's done a lot of great work in that position at quarterback. So I really hope to see him this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be down there either way with the Bullies or whoever. He'll find his way there. But what really happened in this tournament was, for Riot Squad, the biggest, like I said to you before, was they'd show up and they would recruit and show up with 30 guys. And Sunday would come and they'd be the wrong guys in on Sunday. This weekend, we showed up with 18 guys. Some guys played both ways. Some guys played the whole time. That's it. We didn't have the 12 extra people that have to rotate in on Money Day that didn't belong. So we got to be able to all get on one mentality and one goal and finish it. So it was nice to actually put one together the way that we know we could and finish it out.
And congratulations on what I believe is championship number. And I know I mentioned finally a ring. I meant 9-man specifically, because you've been a winner all summer long. What a summer for you, Mark Brown. XFFL champion.
Yes, sir.
Just Win Big champion.
Yes, sir.
9-man B Lydia's legacy champion.
It's
Three times.
It's been all right.
I believe you've won 3 straight in a row now.
Yeah. I'm not too mad about it.
I got to give you credit. Like, people want to talk about runs and great success. You know, we talk about Mike D last year. He won a championship in 5-man, XFFL 7-man, 8-man, and 9-man. We talk about the summer of Birdman, where he went to 3 straight A championships in a row, winning 2 back-to-back in Albany and Charm City. Could this be
honestly, it's been
the
a lot.
summer? Could this be the summer of Mean Mark Brown coming up? Do we have to put Mark? We got to put Mark in discussion and top players in the country. This man has 3 rings in 3 different styles in the same summer. I don't think anybody has matched that achievement. He has called the ACB chip. He was calling AFFL in his debut. We talk about summer of George. No, it's the summer of Mark.
I just, I like to put myself around good people. When you put yourself around the right people, that's what happens. We went out to that big man tournament with Mikey Bryant, who won 5-man chip and 1 MVP. That we just came out with the right mix. I just, I don't like to go into things with the wrong guys. With XFFL for that chip, we've been building. That team's been a team for long before I even got into. I've only been in the flag football world for 3 years. Knowing about traveling since 2019. Obviously, COVID shut a whole year of that down. So it's just like learning the game and building the right people around yourself to succeed, honestly. Because the big man chip definitely, like, I played the first game and then I let them do their thing. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm just putting yourself with the right group of people to win. I don't feel like I need to be playing or being a superstar or, putting myself in predicaments where I'm not going to succeed when I can get the guy that can succeed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Understand that 100%.
Because at the end of the day, you can play all you want. You can get all the pictures you want. If you ain't holding up that trophy or getting that ring or cashing out that prize or eating that slice of cake at the big man tournament, what did you really accomplish?
Facts. Absolute facts. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you and Riot Squad can accomplish this weekend in the Charm City Classic. Looking forward to seeing you guys out there on the field. They'll play Venom and the Borough Bullies. My last question I have, who do you expect to see in the championship? Because every guy's going to pick their team to win, obviously. You don't want to bet against yourself ever.
Yeah.
But who would you see if you were to make that chip? Who do you expect to see across the field from you?
Being that it's in Maryland, Rampage is it's got to be an obvious answer because they're going to come out with everybody that they're supposed to have because that's close to them.
I agree 100%. Rampage could be that team. That's a good pick.
So, we didn't get to see them because we didn't make it through Baez and Ocean City. But see what happens. If we keep riding the high that we brought off this weekend, keep running things the way we need to run things, I think we have the talent to win every tournament. It's just execution.
I agree 100% about that this Riot squad team is definitely there. We had them in our top 10. Like we said, some teams still left out for not hitting the minimum, but Riot squad, I believe the record I had for them in 9-man this year is about 8-3-1 overall. Very good record. They've had some tough breaks on Sunday, as we saw in OC and AC, but this time around, Lydia's legacy, they made a huge impact and let their legacy be known. B champions 2021, beating the Long Island Reapers. They've joined the club in the B champions this year. That makes them a team to look out for in the B division the rest of the way. But perhaps, is there an A move on the horizon? Could we see Riot squad in a local A tournament, like a Rhode Island, for instance?
The possibility is something that they talked about. I'm just a player on Riot Squad, so I don't really make those kinds of decisions, but it's definitely something that they spoke about. But for real, it's just nice to like finally win a tournament and know how it feels and know what needs to be done and hopefully carry it through and keep up the success.
I guess this is actually the last question. We talk about XFFL teams coming in, Empire, Borough Bullies. Just saw Evolution making the jump. There was a post in the YAFFL page about that.
I think that's another team. I don't think that's got anything to do with our guy that does Evolution. Because that guy,
he's saying he did on that post.
The one that runs Evolution up here in the New Jersey tournaments is actually the tight end for the game winner for Riot Squad.
Okay, that's really weird. So I hate duplicate names like that, and like especially in close proximity. I swear he mentioned. I just saw it pop up, and I'm like, okay, Evolution. I saw them a few months ago, so that's not the same one. So just a really random team, I guess. Okay. I mean, more the merrier.
Yeah.
I'm off base on my notes tonight.
I'm in our captain's chats. We have a Jersey League and a PA League, and we have a chat that's both captains in it. And I've been just trying to get everybody out, even if it's to join teams or, merge together and build a team. I would love to bring my team out, but I don't got the guys that travel. So I've really been, trying to push the teams from our home league to start traveling together, to start building, to do that. So we'll see what happens. Trying.
I think you guys will do it. I think there's a lot of potential to this team. I think as a whole, the league itself, XFFL, and everything that you're involved with right now is making positive moves. You getting out there a bit more in the live streaming. We saw you on air with the Empire game against the Long Island Ducks over the weekend. That was an awesome game to watch. Really competitive battle back and forth. What were your impressions having gotten a chance to see a little bit of Empire over the weekend and watching them against the Ducks?
The only thing with Empire to make, because I know personally, like I know they want to make the move to A, and that's where they want to be, because who doesn't want to be in A? Is line. They got the quarterback with the arm. They got receivers. They have defensive backs. It's really line play.
Looking forward to seeing how that line play continues to play an impact and see how the rest of this year goes within the sport itself, because that's been the biggest factor so far to a lot of success of teams making that transition, is finding the right line play to get there. How do you feel my assessment that one of the biggest keys to those teams making the jump from the other styles to 9 is the ability to maintain that same chemistry and rapport on offense in the skill position that they have in those other styles?
That's definitely what it's definitely right, because Ryan Tapia, the quarterback for Empire, never played 9-man before. I think he played 2 XFL seasons ago, so half a year ago before he made his circuit debut. And if I remember correctly, I don't even think he played contact. I think he played a lot of non-contact. So it's just with his guys, he has that report just to know like what Gerard's doing, what Matt's doing, what Sosa's doing, and he just has that. He has the ability to make the throws that he needs to make, and he's already adapted to taking a hit. And he got his welcome to 9-man from Jamal Taylor from yeah, we all saw him.
I know Jamal Taylor.
He got smacked. So he got his welcome to contact, and definitely 100% in that game. But yeah, you're seeing a lot of people bring these speedy guys out that played 5, and you're sticking them on this 9-man field with a lot more room to work. You see people just getting balls in hands, slants, crossers, hooks, screens, and making that work with the speed that's coming from the smaller styles on the bigger field.
And I think that's definitely playing a huge factor in the game. And the one thing I like to see teams do more of is trying to go out in more of a hurry up like you do in a smaller style, like a 7-man or a 5-man, where every second is critical. Tony Panio had commented earlier, he couldn't believe how fast the games went. And, discussing with him, we thought about it. A lot of the times when a ball's overthrown, incomplete, some players will go over and get it fast, but some take their time, they'll walk over. And I don't think players realize, because a lot of instincts is in the old tackle game that when it's an incomplete, the clock stops. I think a lot of guys forget that time's going to keep rolling when that ball's over your head. You got to go there. You got to get it. You got to throw it right back to the line of scrimmage and get it reset up for the next play. And I think that's something where a lack of urgency kicks in for a lot of guys, because that mental clock is not the same sometimes. Whereas I think the 7 and 8-man teams, if you give them that line and you allow them to play their style of offense, they can find success.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when teams have never went against them before. And don't get me wrong, I always say defense wins championships, but if you're able to bring in what is considered by traditionalists a niche kind of offense to the sport, it can really change things. Relating it to college football and how the spread offense changed that sport in a major way. From a time period where it was in the Big 12, you'd see 3 yards and a cloud of dust running the ball, to all of a sudden teams are putting up 500 passing yards a game like it's normal and like it's something that's going to happen every week. It's just been a revolution to seeing how these 7 and 8-man teams coming over, like a 7-point spread over the years, Empire, even seeing teams use quarterbacks from different styles, like Chris Boone, the success he's had with Showtime, Adrenaline Rush. He's won an A-chip with them. He's done work with the Misfits this spring. Those guys are just able, the Ryan Tapias, for instance, the Tony Panos, those types who could come over, run their offense and their style of play and find success by being able to exploit teams who don't approach it from that perspective. And I feel like if you're able to just get that quarterback to skill execution down and your line gives you just enough time, it don't have to be great. It don't have to be 5 seconds. It could be just 2 or 3, because some quarterbacks are used to that quicker up-tempo style. It could be a major game changer.
100%. And it's just, they have a lot of these guys bring 1 or 2 receivers with them that they have that chemistry with. So when all else goes wrong, they got that guy. They got their 1 or 2 guys that they can dump it off to.
And I think that really helps. I think the one thing that I think hurts a hurry up offense and 9-man is just not a lot of linemen have that cardio down to run that hurry up tempo. The college teams have talked about how it's taken usually 2 years or 3 years to get to that pace. Remember the old Oregon Ducks team would take 13 seconds between plays and just be on it, which is something that if you get a team that's built like that and can bring in the kind of linemen who can get in that shape where they're able to move at that pace without losing much of a sweat or a breath, that could be a pretty deadly 9-man team, especially in what has traditionally been a slower paced game for a lot of teams.
Especially because you see it a lot, especially this weekend, scoring in the last 30 seconds, the last minute. If they leave you that window open, teams are putting it in that 30 seconds, that 1 minute. They're driving the field and scoring, and you played a good game that whole game, and you just got outran in that last 30 seconds, and that was it.
I agree. And, when it comes to the speed and pace of the game, anything can happen. Like you go back to just how these games late can end with just one missed assignment. You talk about over the weekend, the one thing Riot squad struggled with were missed assignments, busted plays, things that just will mess up a team in a heartbeat. All it takes is one DB playing too far back or too close and getting burnt with one move. And all of a sudden you have a guy running free with a whole open space in front of him.
Yep.
And that's the one thing I will comment on is this year, a lot of defensive backs, even on top level teams, have had a hard time guarding 3rd and 4th and longs. We've seen a lot of teams just give up long plays and critical downs like that. And it's been something where I feel like a lot of that has boiled down to guys just not knowing how to cover certain players that are not traditional 9-man receivers who are able to make those plays, those faster receivers. I've seen DBs drop completely back to the point where they're sitting by the safety, and quarterbacks are finding that quick hole in the middle to hit. Which,
one missed flag, there's your first down or a touchdown.
Exactly. And I think this year I've seen more of that than ever. And I think a lot of it is a growth of the sophistication of the offenses that we're starting to see in 9-man across the board, not just in A, but a lot of B teams are able to put up and have a lot of skilled quarterbacks. There's a lot of talented quarterbacks that play across the 9-man scene, and not all of them are playing in the A division. A good lot of them are playing in the B, and some of them are managed to stay afloat over the years because of their knowledge of the game and their ability to manage. Others are going through the best periods of their careers because all the experience, all their learning and adopting to the modern game has allowed them to find that success.
100%.
Otherwise, yes.
Athletic quarterback position. So you see a lot more people, even if their line breaks down, that quarterback's going to run, make one guy miss, make another lineman miss, and now he's set in his pocket, and your DB shows how to cover for 7 seconds, and somebody's open somewhere.
Yeah. And most of the time, they don't even realize it until right after the play's been done.
Yep.
Because it's a mental thing. I think some guys are not able to handle that pressure sometimes, and it really does expose a player when he's not able to guard those long plays. But at the same time, we've always said, you never know what you're going to get on those plays. Could be a quick screen, could be a quick slant, could be a stop and go. At that point, it's mental.
Yep.
But we're linemen. What do we know about
I
that?
don't know if I'm running up.
Oh man. I think that's all I really have for tonight. Anything you want to add on your end, Mark?
The only thing I would say is, keep checking out for XFFL tournaments. We got one coming August 21st in, I believe, Flanders, New Jersey. The XFFL Splash. It's at or the complete words, but there's a pool. There'll be a bar. It's real, like, bring your family because there's all sorts of stuff to do. And you're going to be playing football.
Food, beer, family, and football. That's my kind of Saturday.
Does it get better?
Facts, absolute facts. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out. It's gonna be a good summer ahead. Flag football is at an all-time high. 9-man will be at its best this weekend. We're looking forward to it. We still got 4 more nights ahead before we get to the tournament. We'll be back on tomorrow night to talk A bracket interview night. You know what? Let's do a little inside the OMFFL for tomorrow night. Everybody join the call, A bracket. We're going to talk. We're going to have some fun. Followed by B predictions on Wednesday, A predictions on Thursday. Friday night, we'll have the 2019 Charm City Classic re-aired. A lot of great games from that one. That was one of the first circuit tournaments that I traveled to for live. So really looking forward to reliving that weekend. Great times ahead, more content ahead. It's lit, it's legit, it's the Charm City Classic. We got more to come. We'll see you tomorrow night.